Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your WeatherSlant subscriber update for this July 8th, 2020. Well, as we get into the swing of a summer pattern finally, we have a lot to talk about. Temperatures are going to remain very warm in the short and medium ranges. The worst of the heat will be in the south central and central parts of the United States. It'll be making some headlines, but at the same time, it's July. We expect to have some heat build in to the nation, and we will. Some scattered thunderstorms are going to be around, but there is no organized rain through the early parts of next week. So we're going to remain with some very high fire danger. We are going to continue to be in a very dry situation in many areas of the western high plains and Rockies, and that's certainly not a good thing, but we do see signs of increased thunderstorm activity mid to late next week and the week after that should help out with the dryness. But short-term help with the dryness, there's really no help at all coming our way. The latest Drought Monitor really highlights it. This area we've been talking about for weeks now in the southern plains, central and southern Rockies, along and south of I-70 continues to be just the worst off, with the drought worsening in extreme southeast Colorado and southwest Kansas. This area has grown as well across portions of central and eastern Wyoming, northern Wyoming, up into the western Dakotas. Although Montana and western North Dakota have been getting rain, and they're actually in line to be getting more. So there is going to be some help up here in terms of some rainfall, especially Montana, western South Dakota. I am really concerned about this area continuing to get worse. This area is already bad and is not going to get any help here for at least another 5 to 7 days or so. Most of the Midwest and Corn Belt, you can see, has got a few dry areas, but soil moisture conditions are still very good, and they're going to be getting some rain. Now, as we look ahead, this is where we are with the upper level jet stream pattern by Saturday. This is Saturday. Big, strong, high, centered right on the Arizona-New Mexico border. So the clockwise flow coming like this actually directs the best humidity, the best subtropical moisture from Mexico, and pushes it off into the Pacific. Actually, in the Pacific, we're finally starting to see signs here of some tropical activity. But when the high is here, the western high plains and Rockies has a more westerly flow. The air dries out, and you're just not in a good situation to really get much rain. You are going to be hot with that high pressure there, but the rain will be more in these areas here and points here as we see the upper level disturbances coming on through into those areas. Now, as we work our way past that time frame, we're going to watch to see where that high goes. And this is where it gets more favorable for the western United States to get into some precipitation. Notice the high pressure is more centered towards the Corn Belt in the Midwest. So the clockwise flow around the high actually brings air from the Gulf in through Mexico, then brings it back on through. So the moisture content of the air gets much, much better, and we get better chances for thunderstorms. So when we look at this pattern here, with the high over New Mexico and Arizona, it's a hot, dry pattern. But as it shifts east, that high pressure, when it goes east like this, we get the southerly wind flow, and the thunderstorm opportunities get much better before that moisture gets shunted to the east by the jet stream riding up here. So longer term, middle to the end of next week and then the week after that, we're a little more encouraged that we could get some rain-producing thunderstorms instead of these thunderstorms that just produce wind and lightning and problems. Now, let's spend some time on the current conditions with La Nina and El Nino. Certainly, we've got ourselves in a La Nina situation. This is the latest update from the folks who track all of this. This is where we are right now. Anything below that zero line means the subtropical Pacific is a little colder than average, and so it is. It's right there now. The statistical average of the forecast, these are the months, that's June, July, and August, and this is February, March, and April. You can see the majority of all of the models, which are right here, are predicting that the sea surface temperatures are going to remain colder than average all the way into spring 2021. Now, there's a few up here that are showing actually a weak El Nino, but the majority of the modeling is showing that the sea surface temperatures are going to continue to get colder than stay cool. This is important, obviously, for this part of the country because we have said many times in these videos, and I'll continue to say it, is that when we get La Ninas, the western high plains and the Rockies go dry. That's just the way it goes. We've seen this over and over again historically. The connections are very strong. Now, we always talk about modeling, show you lots of models. That's the nature of the beast. We also are fond of saying that all models are wrong, some models are useful. And what I want to do here is show you the 2 years worth of model predictions, which is important to show you what ends up as reality. You can see that we have models that are always forecasting sea surface temperatures too warm. We also have models that are predicting that the sea surface temperatures are usually too cool. Although notice the bias. There is a bias to always make those sea surface temperatures warmer. That's a normal bias, unfortunately, in the modeling, especially long-term climate modeling is always predicting things too warm. This blue line represents actually what happened. So notice that you always want to sort of take what the middle of the road of the modeling is if you go back and look at history. And if you take a look at what's going on here, that middle line right here is where we're going to be going. So odds are that the La Nina will continue to build and strengthen. And some of the modeling shows it really getting strong. In fact, this is the most recent model trends. All the models are south of that 0 line there, all the way into January, February, and March. Also, look at the sea surface temperature forecast for August, September, and October. Now that we're seeing green in the subtropical Pacific, the green right here are sea surface temperatures that are 2.5 to 3 degrees below average. That would be a strong La Nina. Not just a weak one, but a strong one. Again, this is a model. Models are just tools. Models are not reality. But the tendency is for those sea surface temperatures to continue to get colder. The solar minimum continues. When we've had solar minimums, we do tend to see La Ninas develop shortly after they reach their bottom, which is exactly what's going on. If you look at current sea surface temperature conditions, you can see there's not a lot of blue yet, but there's weakness here. There's some blue and there's white. White means average sea surface temperatures. This area right here is white now. It used to be yellow. And we're looking at a lot of the southern hemisphere along the equator here. Notice it's cooling off. The sea surface temperatures globally are cooling off. You're seeing this right now in the southern hemisphere. We still have these pockets, though, of warmth in the central and north Pacific, pockets of warmth here in the hurricane formation zone of the Atlantic. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we can expect going forward. This is through next Wednesday. This is the precipitation forecast through next Wednesday. Notice the Corn Belt, parts of the Midwest here, the Great Lakes. There's going to be some shower and thunderstorm activity. There's going to be some wetness. There's some dry areas there, but generally speaking, the corn's going to grow. You're going to get heat. You're going to get rain. But notice west of the Continental Divide in this area here, it's very, very dry. We're starting to see a little bit more shower and thunderstorm activity here. This mainly comes late in the weekend and early next week. Now, this is through Wednesday, but if we were to look at the weather after next Wednesday, you're going to notice things change. One reason for that is what we call precipitable water, how much water is available in the atmosphere to be able to make it rain. Notice this is where we are now. The brown here and the gray and the red shows drier than average moisture conditions in the atmosphere. So this dry desert air is coming on in. This is keeping us dry. This is keeping the thunderstorms weak in terms of rain. Anywhere you see the blue or the green is where you're going to see the better rain-producing thunderstorms. So this is the situation we are in now. By the middle to the end of next week, notice the brown and the gray shrinks. There's a lot more white. White means average. So we'll start to see thunderstorm activity pick up. Even precipitable water increases in California and Montana. It doesn't mean it's going to rain here. It just means there's more water available to make it rain. Then we see this precipitable water up here. So you're going to get some big thunderstorm complexes going up through the central and northern Corn Belt. Look at this. By Saturday, the 18th of July, we have a lot more water now coming into the region. The atmosphere is just more moist, and that's because that high here brings that in, curves it around. So we're encouraged. This is a model, of course, but we are encouraged that the trend would suggest the middle to the end of next week and the week after that, a better chance of rain-producing thunderstorms. And you can see this. This is for the period from the 18th through the 24th. And you can see there's a lot more rain now coming up out of Arizona, Utah, into Wyoming, into even western areas of Kansas and southeast Colorado that need it. as that moisture comes on through. That continues to form thunderstorms that continue at night that go across the Corn Belt. And you can see that this area here, the Corn Belt, will have heat, plenty of heat. There's a lot of hot weather coming, but a lot of humidity and occasional rain, which will be good for crop development there. The 30-day outlook for precipitation shows that relative to average, the best chances for above average precipitation remain up here and along the Gulf Coast. Now, it is going to rain here, but still, we have been talking about a weak monsoon, and there it is. It's just not going to be up to snuff like it usually is for the desert Southwest. And look, along and south of I-70, we still have this zone of really dry conditions, which again is a sign of something that we've seen before when we have developing La Niñas. Temperature-wise, it shows most of the nation over the next 30 days pretty warm. These are probably over-forecasted, but a large swath of the nation is in orange with above-average temperatures that take us through the first week of August.